Results are in from the latest economic health check, and while for now we're still fending off the dreaded R word, experts say we're only escaping recession on a technicality.
All week the Treasurer's been prepping us for a blow.
Growth in our economy is really soft and subdued right now. Anticipating some numbers this week which will be soft and subdued to show an economy which is soft and subdued.
Not so soft and subdued, the finger pointing that followed. The Treasurer pointing squarely at the RBA.
A combination of global economic uncertainty and higher interest rates are smashing household budgets and slowing our economy.
The opposition pointing their finger at the Treasurer for pointing the finger at the RBA.
You can't be at war with the Reserve Bank Governor. The Reserve Bank Governor is independent and she deserves to be respected, and the abuse that she's received from Jim Chalmers just shows what a shambles this government is.
And today the
soft and subdued
bomb dropped. And while we fared a little better than expected, things still aren't good. The economy expanding ever so slightly, with 0.2% growth in the June quarter and 1% over the last year, the lowest growth we've seen in 3 decades outside the pandemic. The slump mostly attributed to tanking consumer spending.
The most important takeout from today's figures is around consumption. But we also see the weakness in household budgets, household savings, discretionary spending and mortgage interest costs.
But economists say high levels of migration are masking how dire things really are.
If it wasn't for the immigration, overall output would have been negative.
So stripping out migration, yes, we are in recession.
If we look at economic growth on a per-person basis, Australia is in a recession for a record 6th quarter in a row.
Since the early 1970s, we have not seen a period where we've had 18 months of negative GDP per capita. It is an absolute disaster for this country.
So how much longer can Australia's
soft and subdued
economy splutter along before we tip into a full-blown recession?
Well, here to tell us is Chief Economist at the Australia Institute, Greg Jericho. Greg, we were told to tighten our belts and not spend, and we did, mostly because we couldn't, and now the economy is tanking. So is it time to panic?
Well, panic maybe not, but certainly, I mean, you can see from the figures that came out today is that we really did take to heart the not spending aspect, especially on the non-essential items, on those more luxurious things or the things we can do without, like dining out, going on travel or sport, recreation. We really cut back on spending of those. And when, households account for a little bit over half the entire economy. So when households stop spending, that ain't good for the economy. And that's really the main reason why the figures today were so bad.
A lot of people at home right now watching want to know one thing and one thing only. Could these figures put pressure on the RBA to cut interest rates?
Gee, I hope so. The only reason that the economy is so slow is because of all those interest rate rises. That's it. Interest rate rises have prevented people being able to go out and spend on those things that they'd like to spend on when they're feeling kind of rich. Dining out or going on a holiday. Interest rate rises have slowed down our ability to spend, and that's caused these terrible figures. So you would hope that the Reserve Bank is looking at these and going, oh, maybe the economy is a bit slower than we anticipated, and certainly it is. So we know that the next rate move is going to be a cut. The market's already predicting at least 4 rate cuts in the next 18 months. I think these figures, if anything, are just maybe going to hurry that first cut on a bit.
Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, has faced quite a bit of criticism for being seen to point the finger at the RBA, I think, for smashing the economy with its rate cuts. I think John Howard was critical of him. Do you think Chalmers should have pointed the finger at the RBA?
I mean, I criticise the RBA, so it'd be a bit rich for me to blame him. I mean...
You're not the Treasurer, though.
The
That does make it slightly different.
Not yet. No, the Reserve Bank is... The Reserve Bank is independent. That doesn't mean they're untouchable or uncriticisable. I mean, all Jim Chalmers has said is basically the truth, that the interest rate rises have smashed the economy. They have. So, look, I think you're allowed to point out what is happening in the economy. Now, that doesn't mean that Michelle Bullock is going to listen to Jim Chalmers and say, oh, well, I guess I better cut rates. I think, it's all part of the debate, and I think these figures kind of actually support what Chalmers is saying, more so than what the Reserve Bank has been saying about the economy.
All right, Greg, appreciate your time. Treasurer, thank you.
No problems, guys.